This conference will now be
2021.
recorded.
So, um, so 40 years of history, and my involvement with the organization goes back 40 years. So my mom was one of the first two employees for Northeast Community Center, and she was its first long-term executive director. And so she took this job and she came to me one day and said, "You're going to be a big brother. And I've picked a few young kids for you to mentor." And you have to understand with my mom, this was not asking. This is what I was going to be doing. So I had no idea what to do with these kids. I asked them what they wanted to do, and here's what they wanted to do more than anything else. They wanted to go see professional wrestling at Agricultural Hall in Allentown. So I found myself being a regular at Ag Hall in Allentown for professional wrestling for a while. And then I became a hero to these kids because a hotel I worked at the time, some of the wrestlers actually stayed at the hotel. So the kids got to meet some of these professional wrestlers. So anyway, so that's how I got started. It was basically the family business almost. So that's how I got started 40 years ago. So why am I involved 40 years later? Well, number one, I know my mom still knows what I'm doing. So I guess it's in the blood. But number two, I mean, if there is an organization in Bethlehem that is in the front lines every single day, helping our neighbors and touching so many lives of our neighbors every single day, Northeast Community Center is it. And I've witnessed it firsthand the past few months as I've gone over and helped some mornings when they've gotten 9 tons of food delivered to, unload the truck and get it ready to be distributed in the community. And we have an executive director who you'll meet in a little bit, who, when is needed, she's unloading the truck as well, and a marketing and development person who is unloading the truck as well, on top of all of their other responsibilities. And so I just, we are there. We are helping people in our backyard every single day with a direct and immediate impact on their lives. That's why I am still involved 40 years later with the Northeast Community Center. So I think that's probably enough of me, and I believe I will now turn it over to Grace Young, who is the Marketing and Development Coordinator for Northeast Community Center, and who, by no coincidence, shares my last name. So Grace, I'll turn it over to you.
Sorry, I forgot to unmute. Thank you, and thank you everybody for joining our call today. It truly means a lot to us, and in this moment, just to have people reaching out and recognizing who we are and what we're doing, especially during these difficult times that everybody is trying to navigate. We cannot thank you enough. I just want to briefly touch base a little bit on what our programs are during a normal time, and also what we've been trying to do now to still connect in some way with our clients and the people of the community during the COVID-19 pandemic. So to give you a little bit of a background, we have 4 major programs, the first being a summer camp program, which unfortunately for the first time in NECC summer camp history has been canceled this year. But usually we have about 80 kids enrolled. They pay a very, 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 very small fee for the 7-week program. The only reason we even ask for a fee is for the commitment part of it. Other than that, we raise all of the money to be able to sponsor the kids to come to our camp. And it's not simply them coming and just, doing some crafts or playing a sport in our backyard. It is taking them to Philadelphia, taking them to the Bronx Zoo, taking them to learn about the Statue of Liberty in New York City. It's getting them out of here to learn more about what is going on in our local and regional areas. We find that a lot of times they're very isolated and they don't have the financial resources, they don't have the transportation to get them out of here. And so we want to provide experiences that they would not receive otherwise. And that's a big part and priority of our summer camp program. On top of that, we want it to be enriching, and we want, it to be educational as well as, of course, fun. And is definitely one of the things that many people looked forward to. And even having to make the calls this year and say, I'm so sorry, we can't host it this year. I mean, there was a lot of sadness over the call because it's something that everybody looks forward to. So that is our summer camp program. And then the second thing that we do for the youth of our community is we have an after-school homework club. So from Monday through Thursday during the academic year, we have a space where children, pretty much elementary, middle, and high school, can come to and get support, whether it's they need a laptop to work on to get homework done, or they need internet access, or they need tutoring or help with a project, studying for an exam. We have retired teachers that come back and tutor them. We have high schoolers, kids from local colleges that come and work with the kids as well. So that's offered to all of the youth of the community, and they can enroll. And on top of that, we also try to provide educational and enriching experiences to also get them out of the community. So, taking them ice skating on President's Day in the beginning of the year, Cops and Kids reading room, taking them to the pumpkin patch, lots of different other activities on top of that. So it's not just, the Monday through Thursday here at our center. We also try to find different ways to get them out of our neighborhood. So that is our after school homework club. The third thing that we do is our Connecting Seniors program. So we find that the senior citizens of our community tend to be very isolated. And a lot of them suffer from depression. They've said to us that they just feel that there's not a way for them to connect with other people and other friends of the neighborhood due to the lack of resources that they have. So what we tried to do is provide a space where they can come and meet other senior citizens of the community. Many of them have become such close friends. We provide a hot lunch for them. It's offered once a month. Take them on trips as well to get them out. So taking them to the pumpkin patch, or taking them to out to eat at a local restaurant, or taking them maybe to a shopping center or mall. We take them to the Moravian Puts each year. And so throughout the entire year, we try to find ways to get them out of the community and give them opportunities that they have also not received otherwise. On top of that, we also have a few distributions throughout the year. We always do a holiday distribution, which we do a Thanksgiving distribution with turkeys and accompanying sides. We find that we want to be able to give people the experience to enjoy a Thanksgiving meal in the comfort of their own home, but unfortunately do not have the funds or resources to purchase those items. So we make sure that we get them a turkey and all the sides that you need so that they can do it privately with their family and loved ones in their home. So we do that every single year. We also have a Christmas distribution where we work with local companies and donors, different organizations that we partner with, to collect gifts for children of the community. So we try to at least get usually every single child that signs up for Christmas gifts will get a gift, absolutely, if not more than one gift. And then on top of that, we also have families that are adopted. So we'll look at which families may be in most need in the community. And when a family is adopted, it means that the whole family gets gift, not just the kids. So, the mom can put down that she wants pajamas or a new comforter set. And then, the dad can say that he wants cologne or whatever it may be, and we'll get them connected to a company who will then adopt the family and purchase the gifts for them. We also do backpack distributions to try to get school supplies to the kids, winter coat distribution. So some things change depending on the year, but those tend to be our most consistent distributions throughout the year. Unfortunately, all of that above has been interrupted due to the pandemic, very unfortunately. But throughout the past few months, we've been trying to find ways that we can still connect with the kids and with the senior citizens. So Paul is going to talk more about our food pantry in a little bit, so you'll learn more about how we've been operating with that. But we have, for the kids, because we cannot do the summer camp program, we are doing a summer feeding program to get breakfast and lunches for the kids of the community. So we have been working with BASD, and Mondays and Wednesdays of each week during the summer, kids can come and get their breakfast and lunches for Monday through Friday. So we also just started doing a freeze pop popsicle ice cream Wednesday, where kids can come and we'll social distance with them outside and just ask how they're doing, because we want to make sure that there's a way that we can check in with them. We are working to see if we can do this. It's a chalk your walk competition contest thing where kids can come and get chalk, and then they're going to do a big design outside of their house, and we'll pick winners, and we'll go and see them and see what they've drawn. So we're trying to find different ways to kind of combat and still make sure that we can check in on them and see how they're doing and stay connected. And then for our senior citizens, just last Friday, we did a drive-by senior luncheon. If you go on your website, you can actually see the WFMZ feature. We had them come and do and follow us around and watch us do that. But we pretty much did put together a meal for them and these little goodie bags, and we made a parade and we drove throughout the neighborhood to drop these off to the seniors. Several of them cried and just talked about how much they missed us, which was really hard to hear, and because we do miss them as well. But those are just some of the ways that we're trying to stay connected through this whole pandemic. And then I will talk a little bit about how Valley National kind of kickstarted their volunteer project with the Christmas party we had last year. So when we decided we were going to work with Valley National for the volunteer challenge, the one thing that came to mind was around the holidays last year, and usually we are able to host a Christmas party for the kids. And we had lost the person or the company that was originally sponsoring it, and we had no idea how we were going to be able to do it. So we came up with this idea and said, why don't we make it something big? What can we do that makes it different than other Christmas parties we've thrown in the past? And through the generosity of Valley National, we were able to get a magician in there. We had Santa Claus come, a hot catered meal. It was so successful. Gifts, stockings. It was so fun. And just to give you an idea, when we had the magician come, there was one kid that cried when he pulled the rabbit out of the hat because he was so excited. And one kid left, and as he left, he said, "This is the best Christmas party ever." Verbatim, that's what they said. So that's kind of how everything got started with Valley National, this project. And I mean, definitely looking back, is probably one of the most successful and fun Christmas parties we've been able to do for the kids. So. Thank you. Is that it? I don't know.
I think isn't Rob talking?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we had several members of our team there at the Christmas party to kind of help, but like Grace said, and Rob is one of the people who really helped quite a bit. He actually took these beautiful photos that you're seeing. So he's going to tell us a little bit about his experience in going to Northeast Community Center and engaging with the kids at this party.
Hi, everybody. Again, my name is Rob. I'm Director of Technologies for Valley National. And when we were asked if we wanted to come and help out, I said, yeah, of course, and see what I can do. And I brought my camera just in case there was something to take. And, right away, Grace was like, yeah, please take pictures. And, I only live probably a mile, 2 miles away from the center. And I didn't realize, what a difference a few miles can make. When some kids are asking for Xbox and PlayStation, things like that for Christmas, these kids are asking for food, sweatshirts, things, small things that, they can, just little toys, just things to make them happy. And it was touching, and it was humbling to see. And, just to get her to walk around and talk to them, to get to see what they found inside their boxes. And you get to see how, even the smallest thing can make a difference in these children's lives. And, they were also nice and pleasant, and they were happy that we were taking our time out to make their Christmases and their lives better. Again, so don't think that your money donations, your time donations and things of that nature don't matter, because they really do. And now I see what it's all about, and I see how close it is to us. It's I want to do more. So they do such good work for the community, and for the community that's right in our backyard. So that's all I really want to say about it. But thank you, everybody who considers donating your time and helping these children out.
Thanks, Rob. That's awesome. Yeah, everyone I know who was there, and even everyone who saw the pictures, was just really moved at the impact that something that's seemingly so small on our end really made. Someone told me a story that, we gave out these little snack backpacks to the kids who said they wanted food for Christmas, which was heart-wrenching enough. And we put toothbrushes in and toothpaste. And I was told that one of the little boys was so excited to have his own new toothbrush that he immediately wanted to go and brush his teeth, which is adorable and heartbreaking at the same time. So I'm going to hand it over to Paula, who's the executive director, and she's going to talk to us a little bit more about what the focus is right now, what the real need is, and that's with the food pantry and some plans along with that. And then we'll segue into a nice video that PBS did about that specifically. So I'll turn it over to you, Paula.
Thank you. So yes, I'm Paula Johnson. I'm the executive director, and thank you so much to everybody for being here. This is our new life here with these Zooms, but comfort of our own home. So thank you for logging on. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about our food pantry. So obviously the COVID-19 pandemic has interrupted everybody's lives, and it has obviously interrupted Northeast Community Center's operations, just like everybody else. But I have to say that it's been a challenge, but we have actually been able to not close. We obviously had to pause some of the programs that Grace has just mentioned. However, we are fortunate that we have been able to continue to operate our food pantry. So we were deemed a life-sustaining business in terms of the food. So we were able to stay open. So we are a staff of 4. So I'm the executive director. We have the marketing and development director. We also have a program director. Her name is Jackie. And we also have an admin assistant. Her name is Antoinette. And she kind of wears a ton of hats for us. So we are a staff of 4. And again, we are very grateful that we have been able to continue working. And really, it's taken, I say a village, but it's taken all 4 of us to continue to operate our food pantry. We have seen a record number of folks come to the pantry. It's a pandemic. People aren't working. Unemployment skyrocketed. And just to give you an idea, in the month of May, we served 621 families, whereas our normal monthly family count was around 200, 220. And then in June, we served 634 families. With the pandemic, some of the rules had changed. Our food pantry is a choice pantry in normal times. So folks would be able to come in once per month. They would be able to choose the foods that they like to eat from different categories. It's really great because you don't waste a lot of food. And they, go about their way. They have their food. Again, from the state level, we are a Second Harvest Food Bank partner, so we get most of our food from there. The guidelines changed a bit because of the need, so people were coming weekly. We definitely saw a lot of the same clients weekly. We saw a lot of clients from out of the area. We saw some folks from Akunji. We saw some folks from Center Valley. I mean, that just kind of tells you, this pandemic has hit everybody, not just the folks that you think would typically come to a food pantry. We served a lot of folks that had no clue. They would come to our door and they said, I have literally never had to use a pantry before, but my wife and I are both unemployed and my kids are starving, so I need food. So it was really heart-wrenching, but we feel very blessed as a community center to have been able to serve the community during this difficult time. Via Second Harvest, we do get food weekly. Our normal poundage would be about 2,000 to 3,000 pounds a week. During the height of the pandemic, we were receiving between 8,000 to 10,000 pounds of food a week. So that took a lot of work. We were not allowed to have volunteers in the building due to COVID. So we did kind of sneak our way around that by having some volunteers help us, drive pickup trucks and help us outside with some kind of assembly lines to bring all of the poundage in. But it's been challenging. If you were to see our community room right now, we have pallets of food, the dry goods, just kind of overstocked because we really were going through so much food. I think at one point the calculated poundage was over 100,000 pounds of food just from the mid March through the beginning of June. So we really went through a ton of food. Again, as Grace had mentioned, our summer camp program did have to be canceled, but again, we wanted to just forge forward with the food thing. That's really what we've been good at over these past couple months. So we did sign on to be a summer feeding site, and that's been very popular. We serve about 30 kids a day. Mondays, we give out the 2 meals, the 2 breakfasts, 2 lunches to every child. And then on Wednesdays, we do 3 breakfasts and 3 lunches. So every child that is visiting here is getting a week's worth of food if they come both days. So that's been really exciting. So yeah, I mean, it's been great to be able to sustain the community with food. We've been lucky to do that, and we're happy for any and all donations. We've been taking donations, of course, being careful with COVID, but that's something that can always help.
All right, so we'll move on to how you can help.
Hold on one second, Ashley. We're just going to show this video from PBS. It's a few minutes long, but please hang in there to watch it. It's really a powerful example of everything that Paul has been talking about for the last few minutes.
Community, unless you live here or you know somebody that lives here and you're visiting. That community is Marvine Pembroke in Northeast Bethlehem. There are more than 2,000 residents, all of which are living at or below the poverty level. Unlike the south side of Bethlehem, where there is a low-income population there, I mean, there's restaurants, there's, you know, the whole university population there. And so a lot of people find themselves in that area of Bethlehem a lot, but unfortunately here, there's really not a reason to be in the community, which I also think contributes to the fact that it's very overlooked and that people kind of, I don't want to say push it to the side, but they do forget about this area. The Northeast Community Center is the hub of Marvine, bringing programs, resources, and a choice food pantry to those in need. So prior to COVID-19, the food pantry was accessible to any resident living in 2 specific zip codes. They would be able to come in and access our pantry. It is a choice food pantry. Select the items from different food categories that they wanted to eat. That helps to minimize food waste and helps them have a greater selection when they choose their food. Prior to COVID-19, residents were allowed at the pantry once a month. Now, anyone can come and receive bags of food whenever they need it. We do have a blue line and make sure that they are staying 6 feet away from one another. When it is their turn, they'll ring our doorbell and we'll talk to them through our intercom system. We're just asking how many people are in their household, how many children, to make sure that they are getting enough food. We are not collecting any information, names from them. We are not requiring any documentation. We just want to get food to families, no questions asked. We are packing the bags based on how many people are in the family. So say, for example, you know, you have a family size of 5. We will pack your bags to make sure that your family size of 5 is getting enough food. You'll probably get about 7 to 8 bags of food. The food pantry is open Tuesdays and Thursdays from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. and every second Wednesday of the month from 5:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. Northeast Community Center is a member of the Second Harvest Food Bank. We get about 95% of the food items and other hygiene items and things from the Second Harvest Food Bank. We have frozen meats, we have non-perishables, we have canned goods. We are fortunate to have refrigerated items like eggs and fresh milk. On average, we're serving about 60 plus families a week. Some weeks are larger than others depending on the need. There was one day a few weeks ago where we served 60 families in one day, which is unheard of. That was definitely a record in our pantry history. Northeast Community Center typically receives about 2,000 to 3,000 pounds of food per week. Since the pandemic, it's receiving 7,000 to 8,000 pounds of food weekly. While the pantry is the only active program during the pandemic, the center ordinarily provides programming and services year-round. We also have 2 youth programming, one being our after-school homework club program that runs Monday through Thursday throughout the academic year, where students can come in and just get tutoring, access to Wi-Fi, computers, work on school projects, their homework, work on enrichment activities, go on field trips. There's also a 7-week summer camp program and a Connecting Seniors program for residents 55 and older. We provide a monthly luncheon for them where they come in and they enjoy some hot food, they play bingo, they get to socialize, and we also take them on field trips to also get them out of the community. Then there's distributions for Thanksgiving meals and Christmas gifts for families. The community of Marvine Pembroke may be forgotten, but not by the Northeast Community Center. I love Bethlehem, and I know that people who live in Bethlehem, it's such a community feel, and we all care about it. We all love the city and its residents. I always say that if you care and love about Bethlehem, you should really care and love about all areas of Bethlehem, including the overlooked and underserved. In Northeast Bethlehem, I'm Teresa Yasko, PBS 39 News Tonight.
Awesome. So it's really great that PBS took the time to create that. The link is in the slides and is in the presentation. So I encourage you guys to share that if you can with as many people as possible, because it kind of sums up what we're talking about here today. So let's move forward here. Oops. And now, Ashley, you can take it away. She's going to tell us a little bit about just all the ways that everyone can help, whether it's big or small.
Yeah. So there's different ways you can help. You can donate dollars to help replace some of the fundraising events that might have been canceled this year. You can visit the Amazon wish list and purchase items from there. You can give food and supplies directly to the food pantry. You can follow NECC on social media and share information to help raise awareness. And then also share website links and the recording of this presentation with as many people as you can.
Awesome. Thanks, Ashley. So one of the things I wanted to mention was when our team was kind of figuring out how to pivot with this project, one of the things that, Paula and Grace were able to send over to us was their Amazon wish list. And a few members of our team really found that that was such an easy way for them to donate, for them to send something meaningful in a safe fashion. And it's something that they felt really passionate about sharing with more people. So that's kind of why I have it highlighted here, is because that is a very, very easy way. I'm sure everyone's ordered something from Amazon at some point during these last 4 to 6 months. So it's just a nice way that I think often people forget is a way to give. So keep that in mind. And again, it could be as simple as following them on social media, sharing their posts when they post about something that's going on, sharing their website, sharing a link to the recording of this presentation. The more people that can watch and learn about all these wonderful things, the better off the community center is going to be. So let's move on to a little bit of conversation here. And I'll admit that I do have some preloaded questions.
Can I just interject one thing?
Absolutely.
I just wanted to say about the Amazon wish list. When things are purchased and I bring them, they get shipped to my house simply because they can't sit outside of here. So I bring them in daily if we get them. And I can tell you that on food pantry days, sometimes the things that we receive are gone within an hour. So I think that can just show how much of an impact that has, that things are literally coming and they are being distributed to people in need within hours. So it's really, I think, we're all using Amazon. I mean, Amazon's really profiting well from the pandemic. But yeah, it's truly, truly helpful because a lot of times you can't get certain things. So I put a plug in for our wish list. It's very helpful.
Awesome, thanks. Yeah, and we're really at that point in the presentation where I do want this to be a community conversation. So if someone has something they'd like to say or a question they'd like to ask, please feel free to either type it into the chat or unmute yourself, raise your hand, and feel free to speak at this point. Like I said, I do have a couple preloaded questions that I was going to kind of get things kicked off with. So I'm going to ask first, Northeast Community Center used to be Northeast Ministry. And so I want you to kind of explain to all of our guests why the name changed.
Definitely. I'm going to let Grace answer this one. We actually hired her in the summer, 2 summers ago? Yeah. 2 summers ago to do some social media posting because I wasn't so good at it. And as the executive director, I didn't really have time. And she evolved into our marketing and development director. And she has been a huge reason not the reason the name has changed, but she has really helped us change the name and our branding. So she is the person to explain this.
So when I started here, again, obviously I knew family history. I knew it as Northeast Ministry, but I honestly did not even know there was no religious affiliation until probably a year or two before I even started here. And the matter of the fact is that when we started, we were for about a year or two, but then we became completely independent. And for whatever reason, the name stuck. And we have such wonderful partnerships with churches, but we had people calling us from the community asking about our church services, referring to Paula as a pastor. And we really wanted to make sure, we are a community center at heart. Our mission, that's who we are. That's really what we want to reflect upon. And we didn't want anybody within our community to feel that they couldn't come and use our services. And we felt that the name Northeast Ministry was misleading in that way. Nothing about our programs or services mission has changed. So a lot of people do still know us as Northeast Ministry. So if you're speaking with someone and they ask if it's the same organization, we are the same organization. It is only the name that has changed. And simply, we just wanted to be able to people to know that no matter what their background is, that they can come and use our services, and that we truly are a community center at heart. So that was kind of, in a simple answer, that's the main reason behind the change. So
awesome, thanks. And I have a few members of my team here that have some questions. So Nico, I'm going to call on you first to ask the question you have.
Yeah, I was just wondering if the food pantry was government funded.
That is a great question. It is absolutely not. So we are a partner agency with Second Harvest Food Bank. So what that means is that we do have to follow Pennsylvania state rules. And so basically, so what we do is we're called an emergency food pantry. So if somebody comes to us and they need emergency food, we have to give it to them. However, there are guidelines. So we follow what's called a TFAP program. So that is a state program. It's called the Emergency Food Assistance Program. So the state says that folks from certain zip codes can access our food pantry and they can come once per month. They have to be under a certain income level in order to access our pantry. That program is administered through Second Harvest. And because we are signed up as a Second Harvest Food Pantry partner, we have to follow those rules. We do not get state funding in terms of money other than some state food grants that come from the state of Pennsylvania. So to kind of give you an idea, in our food pantry, if I were to be able to show you some food, we have food that's called state food and we have regular food. So for example, Kraft macaroni and cheese. We have the opportunity to buy that at a very, very cheap price because we are a partner agency with Second Harvest. Second Harvest gets that for an extremely cheap price through the food suppliers. And then they pass that shared maintenance fee on to us. So for example, we might be able to buy a case of Kraft macaroni and cheese for 60 cents, which is dirt cheap. You cannot beat that. So that is why a lot of times we encourage folks to donate money to us rather than to go out and buy food for us, because you're going to pay $1.39 for a box of mac and cheese, whereas we're going to pay 60 cents for a case of mac and cheese. So your dollars, anybody's dollars, go a lot further when we can spend it the way we can. Anyway, going back to the state thing, the state of Pennsylvania, based on how many people are in our county or in our zip codes, that's how they determine how much grant money we get. So we have some grant money to purchase state food only, and that is foods you wouldn't see in the store. So it might be a can of green beans, perhaps even maybe Green Giant manufactures it, but the state slaps a label on it that says, I don't know, Happy Green Beans. Jackie actually is going to go grab a can so I can show you just an example of the state food. So other than that type of funding, no, we don't receive any federal or state funding for the food pantry. And no, it is not government funded. So it is mostly private foundations and people sending in donations. Great question.
Thank you.
Yeah. And once the can travels up, I'll show you.
All right.
Awesome. And Eric put in the chat a question about, where you're located in the community that you serve. Do you only serve the Marvine Pembroke community?
No. We are located in the heart of the Marvine Pembroke community. We have a fabulous relationship with Bethlehem Housing Authority. We are in one of their buildings, so this is not our building. They let us live here, which is fabulous. So it makes sense that we seem like we're part of Bethlehem Housing Authority, but we are not. We just have a fabulous relationship with them. She brought like an entire food order. That's funny. So that's why I'm laughing. Anyway, but no, we primarily try to serve those who are living here in the Marvine Pembroke community, simply because we are the community center in the housing development, and there are 775 units just in this housing development alone. Bethlehem Housing Authority owns other housing units. If you guys are familiar with, there's a Park Ridge housing development off of 8th Avenue in Bethlehem, off of Broad Street. There's a Linfield housing development over by the casino near the south, in the south side. And there are the high rises, but we are the largest housing development. So we try to primarily service those here because of the proximity and because of the need. However, our services and our programs are basically open to anybody in Bethlehem who would need them. Now, the only caveat to that is because of the fact that we are part of Second Harvest and they do have the Pennsylvania state rules that we have to follow, we are technically supposed to serve residents living in zip codes 18020, which is kind of the township, kind of Freemansburg, and 18017, which is a very large Bethlehem zip code. And just recently, they've extended that to any Northampton County resident is supposed to be served via our food pantry. So hopefully that helps.
And just to give you an idea, here's an example of what the government food is. Like that's beef.
Yeah. So you would never see this in the store, but this is what we get grant money for to purchase this. So a case of this might be $28. Oh. It literally has like a cow on it, and it says Lakeside Beef. Again, you would never see this in the store. And again, a case is about $28, but technically it's not coming from our budget. The state is allotting us, say, $3,000. And Jackie is our program director, and she decides, based on the need in the community, how to spend this type of money. And then this is some carrots, premium. You've never probably seen this either. And then obviously, like, this is something that we would actually purchase. So Kraft barbecue sauce, because like who doesn't want something cool like this? So this is something we can maybe get for like $1.50 a case. So gives you an idea.
Awesome, thanks. That's very impactful, because no, I don't think we see a lot of those cans on the shelves when we go to Wegmans that just say beef. So it's eye-opening, I think, for a lot of us. So there's another question we had. Mike, I believe you had a question?
Oh, sure, thanks. So you mentioned the state grants, but what are some major sources or events of your funding?
Yeah, so we do have some main fundraisers throughout the year. The first being it actually was implemented last year. The one that we had this February was our second annual, and it was called the Fireside Fundraiser. And really what we used that for originally was, when I started here, I felt that we needed something just maybe a little bit more higher end, upscale. I want to say upscale, just to be able to try to get a new group of people in there and create an intimate setting, and to have honest conversations with people about who we are and what we do. So we do that in February, and the first one we actually used when we knew we were going to change our name. So we kind of made that group of people the first to hear about that. And then the second, we have an annual Italian buffet fundraiser that's been going on for years. I remember going to the ones that were happening here when I was little with my dad, so it's definitely been going on for a long time, and we've kept that a tradition. And the money that we get from that is used for our summer camp program traditionally. So unfortunately, that's always in April. This year's had to be canceled. The other one that we have is an annual golf tournament that has also been going on for, I think, 7 years.
7 to 8.
Yeah, about 7 to 8 years. That has been canceled for this year. And then we were going to have a big 40th anniversary gala event, but unfortunately, due to the pandemic, we can no longer have that. So, I mean, those are our main fundraisers that we have. One of our biggest goals recently was to try to find new ways to connect with people and raise funds for a different programming, but that's what we've been doing for the last few years.
And in terms of funding, the truth is it's mostly private funders, private grantors. That's a lot of what we do, is we write a lot of grants. And we are very fortunate to get grants. We're constantly looking for new grants, constantly looking for more grants. We do some appeals. We do a summer camp appeal. So that's how we kind of write to our donors to raise money for the summer camp, to try to sponsor the kids to come to the camp, because they can't afford, it's about $400 to $500 that it would cost the kids to come, because we have to hire the counselors, things like that. So we try to, raise money for that. And also in the holiday time, we write a holiday appeal, and we try to ask for money kind of, to help us do our general operations, to help our programming costs, things like that. So that's kind of where our funding comes from. Also, Bethlehem Housing Authority, again, allows us to kind of be here. And since they do not really operate any food pantry in this community, or they don't really do any recreation programs, they give us a very small grant monthly to kind of help us offer those programs and services to this community as well. So technically, we don't really get government funding, but I guess since that's BHA / Housing and Urban Development, you could call that the government funding.
Awesome, thanks. That's really helpful. Just in the interest of everyone's time, I'm probably going to wrap up the conversation here. But really great questions. Hopefully a lot of the information is going to help people understand a little bit more of, kind of how everything works for you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and pop back to share my screen, because there's a couple more slides I wanted to share with you guys. And I apologize because I'm a little bit clunky here. So we're gonna hop around a bit. Here we go. All right, so hopefully you guys can all see that. what I wanted to let you guys know about is, again, this is part of a project that we're doing for, the Volunteer Challenge. Of course, we're really doing it because we're passionate about helping and we really want to try to make a difference in our community. But I wanted to let you guys all know about this virtual event on August 18th. Normally, the Volunteer Challenge is a big, beautiful community event where all these nonprofits and corporate partnerships come together. They show off their projects. They show off the difference they're making in the community. And people are able to come and view and talk and engage and vote for their favorite projects. So if you guys are available that day, it is free to attend the virtual event. And if not, throw us a vote for our project, just as an extra a way to support. And then the last thing, I wanted to say is, and I think I'm going to pass it back to Rod here, is, just to kind of reiterate why we're all here.
Thanks, Judy Ann, and thank you everyone for for participating today. And hopefully you heard in what I said at the beginning, the passion that I have for this. And so when I think of a call to action, I do think of passion. And so be passionate. Number one, be passionate about helping those in your community and helping your neighbors. And so how can you be passionate about that? And that, by the way, can be for the Northeast Community Center and other organizations in the community, great organizations. Be passionate about supporting those. How can you do it? Obviously, always money. So when those get on our mailing list, and when those mail appeals come out twice a year, if you can, respond. And any amount, it's always helpful. People, we can't do this without people, and we've got Paula, we've got Grace, we've got great program coordinator and Jackie, we've got a great assistant and Antoinette, but that's 4 people doing all of this. So volunteer. You can volunteer for the help with the pantry. You can volunteer. We're hoping to get some kind of modified after-school program started again in the fall. We could probably use volunteers for that. You have specialized knowledge. Volunteer. Get a hold of us. We'll figure out a way to kind of plug you in. We have a few openings on our board. If anybody is interested, if you're feeling passionate about this organization, reach out to one of us. Reach out to me, and I can talk to you about what it's like being on the board. Spread the word. Spread the word to everyone loud and clear. Spread the word. And then lastly, like Judy Ann said, vote, because vote for our project. It's a meaningful project. And by the way, we also like to win. So so put a vote our way. So that's all those ways. If you pick 1 or 2 of those, once a year, twice a year, you will be helping the community immeasurably. Thank you.
Awesome. That's wonderful. On that note, I'll say goodbye to everybody, and thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you guys so much. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
Have a good afternoon.